Ever considered what unfolds when world powers see their dominance fade not through military conflict but via economic shifts? Today, we're exploring 7 nations that are now selecting Canada over America following Trump's recent tariff implementations. And the developments are more startling than many anticipate. The economic landscape is shifting beneath our feet in ways that most mainstream media outlets completely miss. While everyone focuses on the headlines about trade wars and political rhetoric, something far more profound is happening behind closed doors. Entire nations are quietly rewriting their economic playbooks, and Canada has emerged as the unexpected winner in this global chess match. Trump's aggressive new tariff strategies aim to shield America, yet they've sparked something unforeseen, a mounting international shift toward Canada. Nations that previously relied on America are silently redirecting their allegiance, commerce, and planning northward. This isn't just about finding alternative markets. It's about a fundamental realignment of global trade relationships that could reshape the economic order for decades to come. What makes this even more fascinating is how quickly these changes are happening. We're not talking about gradual shifts over years. These are rapid, strategic pivots happening in real time, as countries scramble to protect their economic interests. The speed and scale of this transformation is unprecedented in modern trade history. Keep watching until the conclusion, because our top choice isn't just a close American partner. It's now reconsidering everything, and it may astonish you beyond expectation. The implications of what you're about to discover extend far beyond simple trade statistics. They reveal a new world order emerging right before our eyes. Number 7. Germany. Germany's manufacturing process has historically depended on seamless North American trade, yet Trump's 2025 steel and aluminum levies, imposing 15% and 25% charges on imports, sent German exporters searching for alternatives. The impact was immediate and severe. Bilateral commerce with America dropped 12% in 2024, whereas Canadian trade surged 8% to reach $25 billion. But here's what most analysts missed. This wasn't just about avoiding tariffs. German companies quickly realized that Canada offered something America couldn't: predictability. While U.S. trade policy shifted with political winds, Canada maintained consistent, business-friendly regulations that allowed for long-term planning and investment. German automotive leaders BMW and Mercedes redirected engine components and chassis elements via Ontario's automotive corridor, allowing them to supply American assembly facilities while avoiding penalty charges. This proximity strategy protected earnings and secured over 50,000 German factory positions connected to North American manufacturing. What's remarkable is how efficiently this transition happened. Supply chains that took decades to build were reconfigured in months. The automotive sector transformation tells a deeper story. German engineers discovered that Ontario's skilled workforce and advanced manufacturing infrastructure actually provided superior production capabilities compared to some U.S. facilities. Quality control metrics improved and production costs decreased despite the geographic shift. Germany's green energy industry identified fresh prospects as well. Ontario and Quebec allocated CAD $1.2 billion toward German-manufactured wind generators and solar installations in 2024, a 20% annual increase as regions hurried toward carbon neutrality objectives. This partnership went beyond simple trade. It represented a shared vision for sustainable energy that aligned with both nations' environmental commitments. German precision engineering companies exporting railway parts and aviation components discovered Canadian purchasers prepared to accept higher prices rather than deal with fluctuating American tariffs. The premium Canadian companies paid wasn't just for products. It was for reliability and consistency in an increasingly volatile global market. Berlin recognized the trend at the highest levels of government. Commercial delegations shifted focus to Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, with German trade offices reporting a 300% increase in business inquiries from Canadian companies. During late 2024, Germany's economic minister declared at a G7 gathering that Canada provided strategic consistency during tariff volatility. The cultural connections deepened too. German universities established exchange programs with Canadian institutions, and major German corporations began relocating key executives to oversee their expanded Canadian operations. This wasn't just business, it was the foundation of a new strategic partnership. Anticipate German research investments flowing into Waterloo's technology startups and Vancouver's cleantech centers throughout 2025, establishing Canada as more than just an alternative market, a collaborative innovation ally ready to influence German-Canadian cooperation's future chapter. Industry insiders predict this partnership could become the blueprint for how other European nations restructure their North American strategies. Number 6. India. The globe's most rapidly expanding major economy immediately experienced Trump's 2025 machinery, electronics, and textile tariffs. By September 2024, Indian-American exports fell 7%, while Canadian shipments jumped 15%, reaching $11 billion. But the numbers only tell part of the story. The speed and sophistication of India's pivot to Canada revealed a level of strategic planning that caught many observers off guard. The textile industry's response was particularly impressive. American textile centers in Tirupur and Surat formed alliances with Ontario retailers to preserve their northern presence, circumventing uncertain American duties. These weren't desperate moves. They were calculated strategic partnerships that leveraged decades of textile expertise with Canadian retail innovation. What's fascinating is how Indian textile manufacturers adapted their production lines specifically for Canadian preferences. They invested in new machinery, trained workers on different quality standards, and even modified designs to suit Canadian consumer tastes. This level of customization showed a long-term commitment that went far beyond simple tariff avoidance. Pharmaceutical companies in Hyderabad and Mumbai, affected by 10% generic medicine levies, redirected bulk shipments via Toronto's life sciences hub, accessing Canada's consistent pricing structure and strong intellectual property safeguards. The pharmaceutical sector's migration was particularly significant because it represented a shift in critical healthcare supply chains that could impact millions of patients across North America. Indian pharma companies discovered that Canada's regulatory environment actually streamlined their approval processes compared to the increasingly complex U.S. system. Generic drug approvals that took 18 months in America were processed in 12 months in Canada, creating competitive advantages that extended beyond tariff savings. Meanwhile, India's IT giants, Tata Consultancy Services and Infosys included, built data facilities and support operations in Canadian technology parks, attracted by Canada's flexible data privacy regulations and the existing Canada-India trade agreement that precedes American tariffs. These tech investments represented something unprecedented. Major Indian corporations viewing Canada as their primary North American headquarters rather than a secondary location. The data center investments alone totaled over CAD $2 billion, creating thousands of high-paying tech jobs and establishing Canada as a major hub for Indian IT operations serving the entire North American market. This technological infrastructure represents a generational investment that will anchor India-Canada relations for decades. Diplomatically, New Delhi's approach toward Ottawa notably warmed. In December 2024, India's Foreign Affairs Minister called Canada an essential partner during a WTO conference and unveiled expedited visa programs for Indian professionals. Canadian universities saw 20% more applications from Indian students during 2025's first quarter, creating cultural and educational ties that will strengthen economic partnerships for generations. The student pipeline is particularly significant because these young professionals will form the backbone of future India-Canada business relationships. Many are already securing internships with Canadian branches of Indian companies, creating a seamless career path that spans both nations. As India confronts domestic inflation and employment challenges, Canada has become a dependable tariff-free market and North American gateway. Watch for conglomerates like Tata and Reliance establishing manufacturing centers in Canada by mid-2025, solidifying partnerships based on shared growth rather than tariff conflicts. Industry sources suggest these investments could total over CAD $10 billion, making India one of Canada's largest foreign investors. Number 5. Mexico. Mexico's economy, historically connected to its northern neighbor, experienced dramatic adjustment when Trump's 2025 agricultural and automotive tariffs applied 10 to 15% duties on major exports. American purchases of Mexican avocados, berries, and tequila decreased 10% in early 2024, while Canadian imports of Mexican products and beverages increased 12%, exceeding $20 billion. Mexican farmers in Michoacán and Jalisco approached Loblaws and Metro, maintaining harvest income by supplying Canada's retail giants. Automotive manufacturers in Puebla and Guanajuato implemented near-shoring approaches, establishing satellite assembly operations in Windsor and St. Catharines. This enabled tariff-free subcomponent production under NAFTA Plus regulations, then shipping completed assemblies to American facilities. CAD $3 billion in auto parts moved this way during 2024, up from CAD $1.8 billion previously. Tourism marketing adapted as well. Mexico City-Toronto flight frequencies rose 25% in late 2024, with Air Canada introducing direct Cancun service. Mexican tour companies rebranded culinary and cultural offerings for Canadian visitors. Consider avocado to maple cuisine tours, increasing tourism income as American visits declined. Politically, Mexico joined Canada in negotiating expanded NAFTA Plus frameworks covering agriculture, technology, and digital commerce, demonstrating shared dedication to a more balanced, resilient North American trade alliance. In 2025, Mexico isn't abandoning America. It's diversifying by strengthening Canadian connections, ensuring steady tariff-free market access for goods and services. Number 4. South Korea. The South Korea's technology exports, semiconductors, smartphones, and electric vehicle parts, faced 15% charges under Trump's Buy American provisions. Samsung and LG responded by accelerating Canadian expansion. December 2024 saw Samsung begin construction on a CAD $4 billion chip testing and packaging center near Ottawa, projected to generate 1,500 positions by 2026. LG committed CAD $2 billion for a Nova Scotia EV battery facility, guaranteeing supply continuity beyond American tariffs. These corporate decisions utilize Canada's comprehensive Korea trade agreement, eliminating most bilateral duties while providing legal certainty. Early 2025 launched the Maple Soul Corridor Initiative, hosting joint Toronto-Busan trade exhibitions highlighting Canadian critical minerals, lithium, nickel, cobalt, for Korea's battery supply networks and Korean 5G and AI technologies for Canada's digital framework. Diplomatic connections formalized in November 2024, when Canada and South Korea signed strategic partnership agreements covering cybersecurity collaboration, AI research, and joint defense procurement. BlackBerry QNX software now operates infotainment systems in Korean-manufactured autonomous vehicles, while South Korean drones undergo Arctic testing at Canadian Nunavut research facilities. With American trade policy remaining unstable, South Korea views Canada as a reliable partner and sustainable market. Expect additional R&D laboratories, joint green technology incubators, and cross-border investment funds throughout 2025, cementing high-tech partnerships that avoid tariff complications while promoting mutual innovation. Number 3. Netherlands. The Netherlands, Europe's logistics hub, endured Trump's 20% agricultural tariffs on cheese, dairy, and flour exports. Dutch exporters swiftly redirected 30% of refrigerated shipments to Canada in late 2024, valued at CAD $1.5 billion through Montreal and Vancouver ports. Ontario wholesalers increased Gouda and Edam imports, satisfying Canadian consumers seeking premium European dairy. Dutch horticulture leaders, famous for greenhouse automation, partnered with Ontario producers to create smart agricultural campuses in Leamington and Niagara. A CAD $500 million fund announced January 2025 supports advanced greenhouses using Dutch LED lighting and climate systems, addressing Canada's food security and supply chain resilience objectives. Canada's new Westminster flower auction now features Dutch-Canadian exchanges twice weekly, ensuring fresh tulips, orchids, and chrysanthemums reach coast-to-coast retailers. In Ottawa, the Dutch embassy elevated its trade office to headquarters status, reflecting strategic redirection. Canada's Parliamentary Agriculture Committee invited Dutch specialists to discuss adaptive trade approaches, while Canadian-Dutch research grants funded joint cold climate greenhouse engineering studies, combining European and North American knowledge. As American tariff uncertainty continues, the Netherlands has adopted Canada's stable regulatory climate and logistical capabilities, transforming Canada into its primary North American ally for premium dairy, floriculture, and agricultural innovation. Number 2, Brazil. Brazil's agro-industrial and steel industries absorbed up to 18% duties under Trump's 2025 tariffs, but Brazilian exporters adapted rather than retreated. Canadian shipments increased 14% in 2024, reaching $8 billion. JBS and BRF now provide nearly 20% of Canada's processed meat market, while Brazilian steel producers secured CAD $2 billion contracts with Alberta pipeline manufacturers meeting expanding oil and gas infrastructure demands. Ethanol producers, excluded from American markets, discovered opportunities in Manitoba's ethanol blending requirements. Brazilian sugarcane ethanol now comprises 10% of Manitoba gasoline blends. A partnership formalized through a CAD $300 million Brazil-Canada Renewable Energy Fund launched late 2024. São Paulo and Alberta governors jointly promoted biofuel research, demonstrating rare sub-national diplomacy, highlighting continental realignment. Defense cooperation has intensified. Canada's National Defense Department collaborated with Brazil's Army General Staff on joint logistics and rapid response training, from Amazon rainforests to Canada's boreal regions, testing cross-environment interoperability. In G20 and UN forums, Brazil consistently supports Canada's leadership candidacies in peacekeeping and climate finance. As Brazil diversifies from unpredictable American markets, it considers Canada not a backup, but a strategic ally providing stable demand, political support, and shared global leadership. Number 1, France. France, among Canada's oldest and strongest partners, struggled when Trump's 2025 tariffs imposed up to 25% duties on steel, aerospace components, and premium wines. French-American exports plummeted 14% in 2024, while Canadian trade soared 18%, exceeding CAD 22 billion. Châteauneuf-du-Pape and Veuve Clicquot redirected 30% of North American shipments through Montreal and Vancouver, accessing Canada's expanding wine market. France's aerospace sector, Airbus components and Dassault spare parts, found new customers among Canadian airlines and maintenance facilities, importing CAD 1.5 billion in 2024, up 22% annually. Luxury fashion and cosmetics brands experienced 20% growth in Canadian retail partnerships from Holt Renfrew to Sephora Canada, offsetting American revenue losses. Late 2024 saw Paris and Ottawa modify the Canada-EU Strategic Partnership Agreement, including tariff mitigation clauses ensuring rapid dispute resolution. France's economy minister praised Canada as a reliable market during joint Paris press conferences, with trade delegations flooding Toronto and Calgary subsequently. Simultaneously, Canadian diplomats in France promoted maple syrup, pulses, and canola oil as complementary European consumer imports. Looking toward 2025, expect Vineyard Agricultural Laboratories in BC's Okanagan Valley, joint aerospace R&D facilities in Montreal, and luxury goods co-manufacturing in Toronto's Fashion District. As France hedges against continued American unpredictability, Canada represents not merely an alternative customer, but a strategic partner, cementing its position as France's premier North American ally in this new trade realignment era. Trade conflicts may appear remote, but they determine winning and losing nations. Today, we witnessed 7 countries choosing Canada in 2025, and what we've uncovered represents far more than simple trade statistics. It's evidence of a fundamental shift in global economic power that most experts completely missed. The strategic implications of this Canadian pivot extend far beyond economics. When major world powers like France and Germany redirect their North American strategies toward Canada, it signals a broader loss of confidence in American economic leadership. This isn't just about tariffs. It's about reliability, predictability, and partnership in an increasingly complex global marketplace. What makes Canada's emergence even more remarkable is how quickly the country has adapted to this new role. Canadian policymakers, businesses, and institutions have demonstrated a level of agility and strategic thinking that has surprised international observers. They've transformed what could have been a temporary trade diversion into permanent strategic partnerships that will reshape North American economics for decades. The ripple effects are already being felt in unexpected ways. Canadian universities are seeing record international enrollment, Canadian ports are expanding to handle increased cargo volumes, and Canadian tech hubs are attracting global talent at unprecedented rates. This isn't just economic growth, it's the foundation of Canada's emergence as a true global economic power. Perhaps most importantly, these 7 countries represent just the beginning.
Industry insiders suggest that at least a dozen other nations are quietly exploring similar pivots, recognizing that Canada offers something increasingly rare in international trade: stability, partnership, and shared values that extend beyond simple commercial transactions. The geopolitical implications are staggering. If this trend continues, we could be witnessing the early stages of a new North American economic order with Canada, not the United States, at its center. The country that was once viewed as America's quiet northern neighbor is positioning itself as the hemisphere's most reliable trading partner. Looking ahead, the next 12 months will be crucial. The partnerships we've examined today are still in their early stages, but the foundations are solid. As more countries recognize Canada's advantages, stable government, predictable policies, skilled workforce, abundant resources, and strategic geographic position, the momentum will only accelerate. If this behind-the-scenes analysis surprised you, remember to like, subscribe, and share. We deliver these comprehensive explorations, uncovering the stories that mainstream media misses and revealing the economic trends that will shape our future. Comment below about which nation's decision shocked you most, and let us know what other hidden economic shifts you'd like us to investigate. The world is changing faster than most people realize, and the countries that adapt quickest to these new realities will determine the economic landscape of the next decade. Until then, remain curious, stay positive, and I'll see you next time as we continue exploring the hidden forces reshaping our world.